There is a Microsoft technology called Windows 365, and it might just be perfect for those businesses who employ subcontractors or freelancers, and they don't want to buy them a device, but at the same time, they want to keep the Microsoft 365 secure. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk all about Windows 365, the pricing, the use cases, and of course, a technical demo. But before we get into all that, let's have a quick introduction. My name is Jonathan Edwards, also known as the Bearded 365 guy. Now, I help businesses all over the world with their Microsoft 365. You can find more information at bearded365guy.com. So, what's Windows 365? Well, it's a full computer which is stored in the cloud. It's stored in one of Microsoft's secure data centers around the world. Now, Windows 365 is perfect for those businesses who employ subcontractors, freelancers, or just occasional staff. Rather than you having to buy them a device like a laptop or a computer, or worse still, let them use their own device without security, you can simply subscribe to Windows 365 and just pay a monthly licensing fee. Now, Windows 365 is also perfect when you've got scenarios where multiple users need access to one computer. Now, we've got a customer like this. They have a lot of factory workers. Now, these factory workers don't have a dedicated PC because, well, they don't need one. But occasionally, they need to log on to some device to access routers and read a few emails. Windows 365 is perfect. Now, a question that I can hear you say is, Jonathan, this sounds okay, but how much do they cost? Well, to talk about pricing, let's head over to my computer screen right now. So here is the Windows 365 pricing page. Now, there's different prices on here, so let's talk about this. Firstly, you've got to decide what specification of cloud PC you want. Okay, so you've got 2 vCPUs, that's the processor, 8 gig of RAM, and 128 gig of storage. That's like a cloud hard drive. And that will cost you $45 per user per month. And then you've got all these specifications which go up to $319 a user a month. So the first question that you might be asking is, what specification do I need? Well, Microsoft have a handy size recommendation page. So you can see here, look, the specifications of the cloud PCs, some example scenarios, and some of the apps that we might be using. So here, look, we've got 2 vCPUs, 8 gig of RAM, and 256 gig hard drive is ideal for BYOD, people working from home, market researchers, government organizations, and consultants using these applications here. So I think most workers are going to fall into some of these here. The 2 vCPUs up to the 4 vCPUs and 16 gig of RAM. But it depends what they are doing. Now, coming back to this page here, you can see that there are 2 sections. There's a monthly subscription, and there's a monthly subscription with Windows Hybrid Benefit. What is that? Well, that all depends what device you are using to access your Windows 365 PC. If you're using a device which is Windows 10 or Windows 11 Professional to access your Windows 365 PC, then you can benefit from this pricing here. Okay, so you get a little bit of a discount on your cloud PC if the PC you're using has a valid license for Windows 10 or Windows 11 Professional. If the PC you're using is running Windows 10 Home or Windows 11 Home, then you can't have this. Or if you're using a Mac to access your Windows 365 PC, you cannot have this. Now let's just talk a little bit more about pricing. Let's look at this device here. It's got 2 vCPUs, 8 gig of RAM, 128 gig hard drive. It's $45 per user per month. Now you might look at this and think, if I pay $45 per month for 2 years, that comes to over $1,000. Why wouldn't I just buy a physical laptop for this contractor? Now, if you're buying purely on cost, then that is a good argument. With Windows 365, you have to make the decision based on other factors other than cost. So what are the main cost benefits of using Windows 365 over buying a physical laptop? Well, firstly, this is a monthly cost versus a bigger financial outlay, which as a business owner, I prefer. Secondly, this is a cost that I can switch on and off. I might hire a contractor, 3 or 4 months later, that hasn't worked out. If I've bought a laptop, that money is wasted. Now, with a physical device like a laptop, there might be other costs. What about hardware support that I'm not going to get with a cloud PC? Plus, if you've got contractors in different countries all around the world, then all your data is staying in your Azure data center. Take, for example, my business. We've got support staff all over the world, but they're using Windows 365 PCs, so they are essentially logging in to Azure data center, which is based in the UK. So for compliance reasons, it's pretty good. And another great reason, I can scale these cloud PCs up and down. Take, for example, I've got this cloud PC here, and in the next couple of weeks, I'm doing some quite memory-intensive work. So what I can do is I can just upgrade my PC for the next 2 weeks. I can pay the extra money, and once I've finished with it, I can downgrade it again. I can't do that with physical hardware. So there are lots of good reasons why the pricing works for Windows 365. Okay, so we've talked all about pricing, but you might have another question on the tip of your tongue. You might be thinking, well, Jonathan, to access the cloud PC, surely you need a PC. Yes, you do. So what's the point? Well, back to my example of using subcontractors that I mentioned earlier. You could simply ask those subcontractors to use their own personal device, and you could subscribe to Windows 365. It means you're not bothered about their personal device or its security, and it's not your responsibility. Plus, you don't have to fork out hundreds of pounds to buy them a dedicated device. People can also use Windows 365 with other types of hardware, like Apple Macs or iPads. Plus, I've just returned from Microsoft Ignite in Chicago, where a huge announcement was made. In 2025, Microsoft are going to be releasing a brand new device that is aimed at Windows 365. This device is going to be called Windows 365 Link. What does it do? It links to Windows 365. Now, the Windows 365 links don't have a hard drive. They don't store any data. All you do is switch it on and it links directly to your cloud PC. You could even set up your business with lots of Windows 365 linked devices, which all link to a cloud PC in Microsoft Azure. Talk about modern computing. Okay, we're going to move on to the technical demo. But before I do, at the end of this video, I will be answering a question that I get asked quite a lot. Microsoft have got 2 types of cloud PCs. They've got Windows 365, which we're talking about today, and they've also got Azure Virtual Desktop. What is the difference between these two? Well, I'll answer that at the end of this video. Patience, grasshopper. So now on to the demo. Before you start implementing Windows 365 PCs in your business, there's just a couple of changes that I'd like you to make in the admin portal. Let me show you. Okay, I've come to the Windows 365 portal, which is windows365.microsoft.com. And I've logged in with a global admin for my tenancy. Okay, what it's going to show me now, it's going to show me all the users in my tenancy. But what I'm interested in at the moment is this here, update organization settings. And if I click on there, we get a little pop out here. So firstly, I want to use single sign-on. So I'm going to enable that one. The Cloud PC setup, this means that every user who we give a Windows 365 Cloud PC to will be a standard user. They won't be a local admin, so they won't be able to install their own applications. This is the preferred method for security, okay? Again, we can choose the operating system. Windows 11 is the latest and greatest. If you need a Windows 10 Cloud PC for whatever reason, you can select that here. We've also got some language and region settings, so you can choose your own. I'm going to choose United Kingdom. And this one is an important one here. So every new Cloud PC we want to enroll in Intune. So we can manage it in Intune, we can manage all the security and the settings right within Intune. Okay, once I'm happy with that, I can click on Save. And my settings have been saved. Okay, now we've done that, what we next need to do is assign a Windows 365 PC to a user account. How do we do that? Well, I'm going to show you now. So the question is, how do you get set up with Windows 365? Well, first of all, you've got to buy the license from your license provider. And once you've done that, that license should filter through to your Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Once it has, you can just go to Users and you want to choose the user who you want to add the license to. I'll choose myself, go into Licenses and Apps. If I scroll down, you can see that a license, 2 vCPUs, 8 gig of RAM with Windows Hybrid benefit has been added to my tenancy. So all I do is simply save that, and that Cloud PC will be added to my profile. So how do I go on and access that Cloud PC? Okay, I'm now the proud owner of a Windows 365 PC. But how do I access it? Well, there are two ways. I can access it over a web browser, or I can access it through a new Windows app called Windows App. Let me show you now. Okay, we have browsed to this page here. So this is windows365.microsoft.com. Obviously, I can go to this website, whatever PC I am using in the world. It's saying, welcome to Windows 365. And over here, it's telling me that my Cloud PC that we specified earlier is ready. So I can click on Next. I can click on Next again. I can click on Next again. And then I can get started. So I can click through these here, and it's just going to show me around a little bit. That's absolutely fine. And what I can do now, as you can see, I can open this in the browser. So this would be if it's a PC that I don't always use. And then, do I want to enable my local printer, my local microphone, my local clipboard? Again, that's up to you. I will click on there and click on Connect. It's now asking for my credentials, which I'll enter now. I'll allow that. And here's my Cloud PC. And it looks like a Windows 11 PC because that is what it is. Now, if I go on here, you can see it's got all my Microsoft Office applications. I've not had to install those. Those all come as default. I've also got OneDrive on here. So I just need to sign in and set that up. But as you can see, it's a standard Windows 11 computer. But the best way to access the Cloud PC, I'm just going to log off this here. Sign out. You can see at the top here, it's saying Windows App is the new way to connect to all of your cloud and remote resources. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the Windows App. Go to the Microsoft Store, click on Get. Okay, that's installed. I'll pin that to the start. Open this up. Okay, here is our Windows App. Now, it's worth mentioning this Windows app can be installed on a Mac, it can be installed on an iPad, and all across the Windows versions. So click on Next, click on Next, click on Done. And you can see, there is my Cloud PC. So this is ready to use. I might have multiple Cloud PCs. Pretend I'm a contractor and I work for multiple different companies. I might have lots of different Cloud PCs here. So what I would do is simply click on Connect. And there we go. Now that has just authenticated me with Windows Hello for Business biometrics. This PC I'm using as the base PC is part of Azure AD, it's part of Enter ID, sorry, and it's got Windows Hello for Business. So I've not had to enter any further credentials to access my cloud PC. And here again, here's my cloud PC. So that is how you access your cloud PC. What next? Okay, techies, we've seen how to access this Windows 365 PC, but what about the management of this PC? How do we support and maintain it? Well, earlier in this video, you might remember that I changed a setting, meaning that all Windows 365 PCs were added to Intune. So how do we treat these Windows 365 PCs? Well, we treat them like we would any other Windows 11 device because that's what it is. So we need to make sure that they've got antivirus software like Defender for Business. We need to make sure that these PCs are patched using update rings in 365. And we need to make sure that they've got compliance policies attached to them. After all, it's just another computer. But what about other maintenance tasks? How do we back up and restore them? How do we restart them? How do we re-image them if we need to? Let me show you. So I'm just in Intune now. If I go to devices and if I go to platform Windows devices, you can see here that my cloud PC is in here. Now it's just been added to Intune, so the compliance is still in the grace period, but that will change. I can pop into there. And I would just manage this PC like I would any other PC within my business. And because it's in Intune, it means I can install applications via Intune and make it nice and easy. Now, there's another way that you can administer and manage these PCs. If I go to here, so this is windows365.microsoft.com. Now, I've put my first name in here, so it's brought up my user account. If I just pop this open now and go to devices, you can see, I'll just close that because it's been restarted, but you can see I've got some options here. So I can restart the PC if I need to. I can reset the PC, and this will tell me exactly what resetting the PC does. So I can reinstall Windows, remove end user files, all that malarkey. I would simply click on there and next, and that would reset the PC. Now, what about backup and restore? Again, that can be handled through here. So restoring will permanently delete data, including all data saved to the cloud PC between the specified time and now, and any apps installed. I simply click on there and I choose a restore point, and it will restore that PC to that earlier time. Just come out of there again. I can rename the label for this PC. That doesn't rename it in Intune, it just renames the label. Plus, I can resize it. So from here, I can choose another size PC if I want to. Now, it's worth noting at this stage that you would need the license for this new PC in your Microsoft 365 Admin Center, okay? And that is the reason that is grayed out, because I've not got a license for this PC in my Admin Center. So just come out of there. And also, I can change the account type from here as well. So I can make the local user a local admin if I want. So there are a few ways that you can manage and administer your Windows 365 PCs. Now let's talk about security, because security isn't a dirty word. One of the great powers that I see with Windows 365 is this. We can create a conditional access policy. That means certain people can only access our Microsoft 365 data if they're using the cloud PC. So they can't download emails or files and folders onto their smartphones. They can't open up their personal laptops and sync SharePoint and open email. They can only access our data through cloud PCs in Windows 365. Now can you see how powerful this solution is if you're using subcontractors, freelancers, or just people in a different country? How do you set up this conditional access policy? Let me show you. Okay, so this is what I would do in a real world scenario. I've logged into Microsoft 365 and in the Entra Admin Center. The first thing I would do is I would create a group. So I go to groups, I click on new group, a security group, and I'd give it a name, something like this. Subcontractors. I'd select an owner, and then I would add a member. So scroll down. There is my new test user account that I've created for this demo. Click on select. So I've got a group called subcontractors, and I've added my new user account into that group. I can now create that group. So once we've created that group, I want to head down to protection and conditional access. Here is our conditional access overview. I'm going to create a brand new policy. And the first thing I'm going to do is give it a name. Something like that should do the trick. Who am I assigning this policy to? Well, I'm going to click on select users and groups, and I'm going to find the group that I created earlier. Here we are, select. So I'm going to target that group. Now let's look at the target resources. Again, click on select resources, click on here and type in Office 365. There she goes. We will include that. Click on exclude. Again, select resources, and we're going to go on here on Windows 365. Exclude that one. And also Microsoft Remote Desktop. Exclude that one as well. Okay. Now let's go to conditions, and we're going to filter for devices. So there's some devices that I'm excluding from this policy. Which devices am I excluding? Back to Intune. Now I added another Windows 365 PC because I was using this one. I didn't want to lock myself out. Now if I go into this one here, this is the new one assigned to my test user. You can see here, look, device model. All Windows 365 PCs start with this device model, Cloud PC. So when I go to here, I'm going to choose a property, and I'm going to choose model. Operator starts with value, Cloud PC. Easy as that. Click on done. We're then going to go block access. So we're targeting our subcontractor group when they try to access Office 365. We're going to block access apart from if they're using a Cloud PC. Sounds good to me. Let's create that policy. Now let's head over to a Chrome incognito window, and let's just go to here. Let's pretend our subcontractor just wants to sign in to his Office 365 over the web to access emails, Microsoft Teams, files. So he puts his email address in here, click on next, password, click sign in. No, it doesn't let him sign in. Signing was successful but doesn't meet the criteria. Is that our conditional access policy? I think so. Right, come into here now. Let's go to windows365.microsoft.com. Okay, close out of that one. Let's now sign in to his Cloud PC. Username, click on next. Password, click on sign in. Okay, here's the Cloud PC. Let's open that in a browser, see what happens. Is it going to let us in? Is it going to come up with an error message? Okay, we can click on that, click on connect. Now this looks to me a little bit like a Cloud PC. Here's the Cloud PC. Okay, he can go into here. He can launch his Outlook. There's his Outlook, all nice and ready. What about Microsoft Teams? You might used to use Microsoft Teams today. You can launch that. And there's his Microsoft Teams. So again, this conditional access policy is a must-have for your business. Okay, so we're now coming to the end of the video, but I did promise that I would answer the question, Windows 365 versus Azure Virtual Desktop. What are the main differences? Well, they're both remote cloud PCs of some description. Windows 365 is a license-based model. You pay Microsoft for a license, you get a cloud PC. That cloud PC is available to you 24/7. You don't pay any more, you just pay the license fee. Azure Virtual Desktop, however, is consumption-based. You pay for what you need. Now, if you run a big business, you can be quite clever with consumption-based fees. For example, we have a lot of customers using Azure Virtual Desktop. What we do is we reduce the resources outside of business hours because they're not really used. This means that their invoice at the end of the month is much cheaper. So if you're quite clever with Azure Virtual Desktop and you've got lots of users, Azure Virtual Desktop can be cheaper. The second main difference for me is the setup and management. You've seen from this video that setting up and managing Windows 365 is fairly easy. Azure Virtual Desktop is much more complex, but Azure Virtual Desktop is extremely customizable. If your business is quite complex with its IT needs, you might have lots of third-party applications running off servers in Azure, then I will be pointing you down the Azure Virtual Desktop route. If your business IT is much simpler, where you're just using Microsoft 365 apps and maybe you employ lots of contractors and freelancers, then I will be pointing you down the Windows 365 route. But no two businesses are the same. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've learned quite a lot, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.